Imagine, if you will, a world where you are never, ever alone. Not in your home, not on the street, not even in your own mind. Imagine a screen on your wall that isn't just for watching television, but for television to watch you constantly, without blinking. This isn't the plot of some futuristic sci-fi blockbuster. It's the chilling reality of George Orwell's novel, 1984. It's a place where every word you speak, every move you make, and even every thought you think is monitored. The concept of privacy has been completely obliterated, replaced by the suffocating presence of an all-seeing, all-knowing government. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? A world where the state has inserted itself into every nook and cranny of human existence. This constant surveillance is enforced by a figure known simply as Big Brother. His face, with its heavy mustache and penetrating eyes, is plastered on posters everywhere, alongside the ominous caption, "Big Brother is watching you." Is he a real person? No one knows for sure. It doesn't really matter. He is the symbol of the party, the ruling power that controls every single aspect of life. His image is a constant, inescapable reminder that you are under scrutiny. Think of him as the ultimate overbearing manager, one who follows you home, watches you sleep, and reads your emails, except instead of firing you for slacking off, he can have you vaporized, erased from existence entirely. The tool for this perpetual observation is the telescreen. These devices are in every home and public space, broadcasting party propaganda, news about glorious military victories and record-breaking production figures, while simultaneously spying on the populace. They can pick up the slightest whisper, the subtlest change in your facial expression. A flicker of dissent, a sigh of frustration, a look of doubt. The telescreen sees it all. The thought police, the party's dreaded secret police force, are always on the lookout for anyone who dares to step out of line, not just in their actions, but in their very thoughts. It's a system designed to crush the human spirit before it can even begin to rebel. In this world, the most dangerous crime you can commit is not murder or theft, but thought crime. Yes, you read that correctly. Thinking the wrong thing is illegal. Merely doubting the party is a crime punishable by death. This creates a society paralyzed by fear, where people must constantly police their own minds, forcing themselves to believe the party's lies. They must perform a mental gymnastics routine called doublethink, which means holding two contradictory beliefs at the same time and accepting both of them. It's a psychological prison, and the terrifying part is that the inmates are forced to be their own jailers, ensuring their own compliance through sheer terror. The story is set in Airstrip 1, formerly known as Great Britain, which is now a province of a vast superstate called Oceania. The year is 1984, but even the date is uncertain, as the party has a habit of rewriting history to suit its needs. Oceania is a grim, gray, and dilapidated place. Buildings are crumbling, food is scarce and disgusting, and a general sense of decay hangs in the air. This bleak landscape is the perfect backdrop for the oppressive political system that governs it. The party's official ideology is called Ingsoc, or English Socialism, and its core principles are summed up in three paradoxical slogans: war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. These slogans are not just catchy phrases, they are the literal foundation of the party's control. War is peace refers to the fact that Oceania is in a perpetual state of war with one of two other superstates, Eurasia or Eastasia. This constant conflict is essential because it keeps the population in a state of fear and patriotic fervor, making them easier to control. It also uses up surplus resources, ensuring that citizens remain poor and dependent on the party. The enemy can change overnight, but the war itself is permanent. It creates a sense of unity against a common foe, directing any public anger away from the party and towards an external enemy. Freedom is slavery teaches that the individual is weak and powerless, and that true freedom can only be found by completely submitting to the collective will of the party. Personal liberty, the ability to make your own choices and have your own opinions, is portrayed as a chaotic and dangerous state that leads to misery. By giving up your individuality and becoming a cog in the party machine, you are supposedly liberated from the burden of thought and responsibility. It's a twisted piece of logic that turns a fundamental human desire, the desire for freedom, into something to be feared and rejected, making enslavement seem like a noble choice. Finally, ignorance is strength is perhaps the most sinister slogan of all. It means that the strength of the party depends on the ignorance of its people. If citizens are uneducated, uninformed, and incapable of critical thought, they will never be able to question the party's authority or recognize its lies. This is why the party goes to such great lengths to control information, destroy historical records, and simplify language. An ignorant population is a docile population, one that will swallow any absurdity the party feeds them. Their strength as a collective is built directly upon the intellectual weakness of each individual member, a truly terrifying formula for absolute power. At the heart of the party's control mechanism are four ministries. The Ministry of Peace wages perpetual war. The Ministry of Love maintains law and order through torture and brainwashing. The Ministry of Plenty oversees economic affairs, ensuring constant shortages. And then there is the Ministry of Truth, or mini-true in newspeak, which deals with news, entertainment, and the arts. Its real job, however, is to lie. Mini-true's primary function is to rewrite history on a daily basis. Every book, newspaper, photograph, and document is constantly altered to match the party's current political narrative. If the party says Oceania has always been at war with Eastasia, then any record showing it was once allied with Eastasia must be destroyed and rewritten. This continuous falsification of the past is crucial for the party's power. By controlling the past, the party also controls the present and the future. If there is no objective, verifiable history, then the party's version of events becomes the only reality. Citizens have no external reference point to challenge what they are told. Their own memories become unreliable, fuzzy, and easily dismissed as false. The party's slogan puts it bluntly: who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. It is an assembly line of deception where truth is manufactured and inconvenient facts are dropped into a memory hole, incinerated and forgotten forever. To further cement its control over reality, the party is developing a new language called newspeak. The goal of newspeak is not just to provide a new way of speaking, but to make rebellious thoughts impossible. It achieves this by drastically reducing the number of words in the vocabulary and stripping the remaining words of any unorthodox secondary meanings. How can you have a revolution if there is no word for revolution? How can you demand freedom if the word itself only exists in the context of something trivial, like the dog is free from lice? It's a form of linguistic engineering designed to narrow the range of thought. The ultimate aim of newspeak is to make thought crime literally impossible because the words to express it will no longer exist. Concepts like individualism, free will, and democracy will become unthinkable. The language is designed to be spoken from the larynx without conscious thought, producing only party-approved rhetoric. It's a brilliant and horrifying idea, controlling people not through force, but by limiting the very language they use to form their ideas. By the time newspeak is fully adopted, the party's ideology will be the only one that can be expressed, and therefore the only one that can be thought. It is the final chilling step in achieving total mental domination. Our guide through this nightmarish world is Winston Smith. He is a minor member of the Outer Party, around 39 years old, with a varicose ulcer on his ankle and a general sense of weariness about him. He is not a traditional hero. He is an ordinary, frail man who feels deeply alienated from the society he lives in. Winston works at the Ministry of Truth, where his job is to alter historical records. He spends his days rewriting old newspaper articles, making Big Brother's predictions retroactively correct and erasing unpersons, people who have been executed by the state, from the public record. He is good at his job, but he secretly loathes the party and everything it stands for. Winston's rebellion begins in a small but significant way. He buys a diary, a beautiful blank book with creamy paper, an incredibly risky act in a society where having unauthorized writing materials is forbidden. In the privacy of a small alcove in his flat, just out of sight of the ever-watchful telescreen, he begins to write down his thoughts and memories. This simple act of recording his own version of reality is a profound act of defiance. He writes for a future or a past where objective truth might still exist, where people are free to think for themselves. He knows it is a dangerous game, one that will almost certainly end in his capture and death. Thought crime does not entail death. Thought crime is death. Winston is haunted by fragments of memory from the time before the revolution, a past that the party insists never existed. He vaguely remembers his mother and sister, who disappeared when he was a child. He clings to these memories as proof that life was once different, that human emotions like love and loyalty were once real, and not just tools for party propaganda. This internal struggle between his own memory and the party's official history fuels his hatred for Big Brother. He yearns for a world where 2 + 2 = 4, not whatever the party decides it should equal today. His quest is not for power, but for truth. His job at the Ministry of Truth gives him a unique insight into the party's lies. He understands the system of deception from the inside, which makes him despise it even more. He feels utterly alone in his dissent, surrounded by colleagues who seem to fanatically believe the party's ideology. He scans their faces for any sign of shared rebellion but finds none. He dreams of a secret organization, the Brotherhood, supposedly led by the arch-traitor Emmanuel Goldstein, that is working to overthrow the party. This hope for an organized resistance, however faint, is what keeps his rebellious spirit alive in a world designed to crush it. Winston's lonely rebellion takes a dramatic turn when he meets Julia. At first, he despises her. She is a young, confident woman who works in the fiction department and wears the sash of the Junior Anti-Sex League. He sees her as a symbol of the brainwashed, fanatical youth of the party. He even fantasizes about hurting her, seeing her as the embodiment of everything he hates. But one day, she stumbles in front of him and secretly slips a small folded note into his hand. When he later reads it in private, he is stunned. The note says simply, "I love you." This single, terrifying, and exhilarating message changes everything for Winston. Their relationship is an incredibly dangerous act. The party actively discourages love and loyalty between individuals, as all loyalty must be directed towards Big Brother. Sex is permitted only for procreation within marriage and is supposed to be a joyless duty. For Winston and Julia, their physical desire for one another is a political act. It is a blow struck against the party, a small pocket of freedom and humanity in a world that denies both. They meet in secret, in the countryside, in crowded streets, and eventually in a rented room above a junk shop in the Prole district, a place they believe is free from telescreens and prying eyes. Winston and Julia's motivations for rebellion are different. Winston is an intellectual rebel. He is concerned with the larger philosophical implications of the party's control, with truth, and with history. He wants to overthrow the entire system. Julia, on the other hand, is a more practical rebel. She hates the party because it gets in the way of her having fun. She isn't interested in grand political theories. She just wants to carve out a space for her own personal freedom and pleasure. As she tells Winston, "I'm not interested in the next generation, dear. I'm interested in us." Her rebellion is personal, instinctive, and lived in the moment. Despite their different perspectives, their affair represents a shared humanity. In their secret room, they can be themselves. They make love, they drink real coffee, wear makeup, and enjoy simple pleasures. All things forbidden or discouraged by the party. For Winston, his love for Julia is a transformative experience. It reconnects him with his own body and emotions, making him feel human again. Their relationship is a testament to the fact that the human spirit's desire for connection and intimacy cannot be completely extinguished, even under the most oppressive regime. It is their private world, a small, fragile bubble of freedom that they know cannot last. Winston and Julia's hope for a wider rebellion leads them to a man named O'Brien, a powerful member of the Inner Party, whom Winston has long suspected of being a fellow dissident. O'Brien seems to confirm Winston's suspicions, inviting them to his luxurious flat and telling them that he is a member of the legendary Brotherhood. He gives them a copy of the book, a secret text written by Emmanuel Goldstein that explains the true nature of the party and its mechanisms of control. For a brief moment, Winston feels triumphant. He is no longer alone, he is part of a real resistance. But this hope is a carefully constructed trap. Predictably, the bubble bursts. One evening, as Winston and Julia lie in their secret room, a voice speaks from a hidden telescreen behind a picture on the wall. "You are the dead." The thought police storm the room, brutally beat them, and drag them away. Their sanctuary was an illusion all along. They are taken to the Ministry of Love, a place with no windows and where the lights are never turned off. Here, the party's true power is revealed. The Ministry of Love is not a place of punishment, but of conversion. Its goal is not to kill its enemies, but to break their minds and remake them in the party's image. Winston is subjected to months of systematic torture. He is starved, beaten, and relentlessly interrogated by O'Brien, who it turns out is not a rebel but a loyal party operative who orchestrated Winston's entrapment. O'Brien explains the party's philosophy with terrifying clarity. The party does not seek power for any noble end. It seeks power for its own sake. Power is not a means, it is an end, he tells Winston. He patiently tortures Winston, breaking his body and his mind, forcing him to accept that 2 + 2 can equal 5 if the party says so. The goal is to destroy Winston's ability to think independently, to annihilate his sense of self. The final stage of Winston's re-education takes place in the infamous Room 101. Room 101 is the place where you are confronted with your deepest, most primal fear, the worst thing in the world. For every person, that thing is different. For Winston, it is rats. O'Brien brings in a cage with 2 large, starving rats, designed to fit over Winston's head so they can eat his face. In a moment of absolute, gut-wrenching terror, Winston's spirit finally breaks. He screams, "Do it to Julia! Do it to Julia! Not me! Julia! I don't care what you do to her. Tear her face off, strip her to the bones. Not me! Julia! Not me!" In that instant, he betrays the one person he loves, saving himself by sacrificing her. This is the party's ultimate victory. After his release from the Ministry of Love, Winston Smith is a changed man. He is no longer a rebel. He is an empty shell, his mind hollowed out and refilled with love for the party. He briefly meets Julia again, but their feelings for each other are gone, replaced by a mutual sense of disgust and betrayal. They confess that they both betrayed each other in Room 101. The love that was once a powerful act of rebellion is now just a dead memory. The party has successfully severed their human connection, proving that nothing can withstand its power. Winston spends his days at the Chestnut Tree Cafe, drinking victory gin and playing chess, a ghost of his former self. In the final devastating scene of the novel, a news bulletin on the telescreen announces a great military victory for Oceania. As Winston looks up at the enormous poster of Big Brother, a sense of blissful contentment washes over him. He realizes that the struggle is over. He has won the victory over himself. He now genuinely, truly loves Big Brother. The party has not just killed the rebel in him, it has killed the man himself and replaced him with a loyal automaton. It is a conclusion devoid of any hope, a stark illustration of the complete and total triumph of a totalitarian state over the individual human spirit. It is one of the bleakest endings in all of literature. The themes Orwell explores, totalitarian control, the manipulation of truth, the power of language, and the loss of individuality, are as relevant today as they were in 1949. In an age of alternative facts and political propaganda disguised as news, the Ministry of Truth feels frighteningly familiar. The idea of newspeak, of language being used to limit thought and control debate, resonates in a world of carefully crafted political sound bites and online echo chambers. We live in an era of mass surveillance where governments and corporations collect vast amounts of our personal data, and the telescreen seems less like fiction and more like a prediction of our smart speakers and social media feeds. Orwell's novel is not a prophecy, it is a warning. It is a powerful reminder of what can happen when a government becomes too powerful, when truth becomes subjective, and when citizens become too complacent. 1984 urges us to be vigilant, to question authority, to cherish our personal freedoms, and to protect objective truth. It shows us that the fight against tyranny begins with the defense